Welcome back to Flint Creek Transport. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about tarps. So in our business, so what we do with our trailers, a lot of water trailers require is tarping. So whether it's our belt trailers, our walking floors, or dump trailers, you got to roll the tarp. There's some manual labor required. And the unfortunate part is, so they get loaded from the top. That requires somebody to go up the ladder and roll that tarp across, or to have a crank in the back. So I'll show you some of the trailers that we have here, but I wanted to kind of kick it off with this. This is our most common style of trailer and our most common style of tarp. So the way our tarps are here is, if you just take a peek at that tarp comes around and latches in to that little mechanism right there. So when he wants to roll the tarp, he pops that pin and loosens the tarp and basically just keeps cranking it right over to the other side of the trailer. Then once he has the tarp open, there's two straps on the inside that he throws, one out one side and one out the other. Those straps keep the tarp from dropping down into the trailer, or also from rain. When it gets heavy, water will push the tarp down, and that can potentially rip the tarp. So that's why we have straps. That's a system that we've had for many, many years. I think some of our first trailers that come in even had that system, and that crank at the front, we always liked it. You climb up the ladder. Anymore, it's becoming more and more of a liability. And you know, you got to be able to get up there and crank that tarp over, and it's a liability. It is also kind of a pain point a little bit, because what happens, like with that tarp, if you're not careful, which our guys try to be careful, but if you're not careful, you can have it, if you just always crank that tarp shut and you don't adjust it, the tarp can become loose. So sometimes you have a load that's piled up a little bit high. You know, the best is you always want that tarp tight. So sometimes you got to stop and adjust it. The way you adjust these is there's actually like a sleeve that slides into. It looks almost like a 540 shaft or 1000 PTO shaft. And you slide that pin and slide that shaft out and just give it a quarter turn. And that is how you tighten the tarp. So it's more than just swinging doors. You've got to come up here, you got to climb up the ladder and open your tarp. So when you're loading, that means that you crank that tarp, you got to climb up there and open the tarp, and then you have to shut it again. So I want to show you another trailer. All these trailers have, actually right here, perfect trailer, this Peerless. I want to show you this style. So this is a tarp from the back, and this is what a lot of people have, so that way you can stay on the ground. And the tarp handle, basically this is a sleeve again that will slide right over, lock that in, extend your handle out, and then oftentimes you got to pull, that's a shaft again that comes out, and then you crank that tarp across. It is fairly quick, but what happens is you do need a few more bows, or you need to somehow still have something in there to keep that tarp up, or to keep that tarp from sagging down. So what guys do is they'll run a bar down the center of the tarp, and that will help hold it up. We would always, I know, when we started out, we would pack our loads full, and we, so we always kind of did it this way. But in this day and age, times change, people change, right? And yeah, I know when I was trucking, I would always, every single load, get up top, and we were forking. We were always watching the guy when he loaded our trailer. So we knew when he bumped the bows, when anything like that happened, we knew when he bumped the trailer. We're watching. So this is still, though, a liability. The guy's back here, he's cranking across, and then he's got to crank it shut again. And where it becomes a liability is when you got to latch it in. So that knuckle only has like 4 ways or 2 ways to lock in. So you crank that in, or you crank that over, and you got to really push down on that and then lock it in. And sometimes when you go to lock it in, especially on a split hand like that, it can unwind if you kind of have a loose grip on it or whatever. It can unwind and whack you. So that's a liability too. So it's not fun having that. And you know, as a company owner, I always try to look at how can we make things better. I'm always very slow to change, because it's like, we know, you know, this is what we know. Like, that style always worked for us. Well, now we have dump trailers, and we got, you know, so we have to have systems that, you know, with handles on the back, which is something different. But today is a different day. This is the dawn of something new. But I'll tell you, we'll go inside here. Here's a truck rolling around. Must be an early day for him, because this is 2:30 in the afternoon. Trying to run me over. I got you on camera. All right, let's go check it out in here. So I'd come back out here again, because their guys are working in there, and I got a little bit of stuff to go over. So when I bought one of the Titan trailers, this would be a couple years ago, I bought what came on that trailer was an e-cargo system. E-cargo is a company, well, I'll let someone else explain that, but they got us a tarp system. We still have one of their systems on one of our trucks, but it was still with the hand crank. And if I got a video of that, I will post that, or I will put that in the link up above, so check that out. But I am here today with Larry. So Larry is from e-cargo. So here's Larry.
Nice to meet you.
So Larry, where are you from?
We're out of Montreal, Canada.
Okay. So Larry works for e-cargo. And what all tarps or trailers do you guys cover?
So basically it's e-cargo tarps.
Okay.
We've been doing tarps for over 20 years now. Started out where the previous owner was a trucker, unfortunately passed away, but he was hauling wood chip trailers in northern Canada. Had a big problem with tarps. Obviously tarp is a 4-letter word. A lot of those drivers know what that's about. So he tried to come up with some different ways of being able to open the tarp and close the tarp. So he came out with his first patent, which is, I believe, the one you have on your other trailer, which is run from a catwalk, but there's no straps, no ratchets, just lock it right up. So we go from that system, different variations of electric systems, and now we've gone beyond that in what we call a twin gear system, which is a 421 run from the ground at the front of the trailer, and there's 2 gearboxes. It's about 30 seconds to open and close it, no truck hookups or anything. And we also have a bunch of products for flatbed trailers, for sod trailers. So instead of going front to back, it's actually going up and down and then to the middle on electric. So again, 30 seconds to open and close either side. So that's the kind of variations of trailers that we do.
Yep. So backing up a little bit, I know you were trying to get us to get one of these tarp systems for quite a while.
Some people are very hard-headed, Justin, you know, and I understand people are used to the old style. So we still see a lot of waste trailers with those throw-on tarps, right? Unfortunately, we're looking at a lot of strap and ratchets, and then you have the back manual tarps.
Right.
As you know, OSHA problems, shoulder problems, gets more and more difficult. Some of the owners are just looking at the initial cost, but not long-term costs.
Yeah.
So it took a long time for us to convince Mr. Justin here to try something different.
Right.
Finally, he's only trying 2, but we know there's probably going to be another 20 coming.
All right. We hope. So one of the things there too, I think you guys only had offered electric, correct, in this system for a while?
No, we always had both systems. So we have the manual, which is from the catwalk.
Well, I meant the crank from the ground.
The crank from the ground, we don't call it manual, we call it mechanized.
Okay.
Because when you think manual, you're thinking of the back manual, and that's very hard on your shoulders. So we call it a mechanized because there's 2 gearboxes. That patent came out about 15 years ago. So they've been on the road, and most of those originals are still on the road now.
Yeah.
So you'll be running those trailers for a good 20 years. Maybe I won't be here anymore, but Lorenzo Jr. might come and see you.
There you go. So Larry was at the truck show again, and that's where I met up with him. I've known him for quite a while. Like I said, he was trying to get in here for quite a while as well. So I finally said, you know what, we're going to try this. I am very kind of hesitant to try new things. I guess I'm not too afraid to try new things, but when I have something that works, and so far we've been, the liability side of it has been okay, but now it's like more and more, it's like, you know what, I got to do something. I got to really see what we can do. And so that's kind of why I said, hey, let's give this a try. Let's see what we can do.
So Justin, you also said new, but it's new for you.
Yeah.
So I drove from Montreal, Canada, down to here in this little town of Geneva, New York, and I counted how many tarp systems I saw of that exact same thing, and I was at 102.
Really?
Down the Trans-Canada Highway and all the way down into 102. So there might be new for you, but they're not new for most drivers.
Right. There you go. So we're behind the times right now, just a little bit.
Yes, you are. It's okay. It takes a while for it to catch up.
Right. What we did today is we're putting on a mechanized, right?
Correct.
A mechanized tarp on our belt trailer. And we're going to see how this works. So basically, this is from the ground. And hopefully they won't have to climb a ladder. They won't have to throw a shoulder out like my shoulder's sore right now from holding the camera. But we're going to see how this works. And I know the guys are in there working at putting it on the trailer right now. And we're going to show them how this thing works. We're going to have that thing out tonight, correct? And
yeah.
it started this morning.
Retrofit's going to take us about 4 hours without the work on the trailer. However, remember, everybody's talking about these new things in tarps, and a lot of people were going with the old manuals, and now everybody's talking about electric. So this is actually beyond electric. Why? No motors, no hookups, no truck hookups, no wiring. You can have pinned or unpinned, and like I said, it's faster than electric. It's 30 seconds to open and close it, and even my 12-year-old daughter can run and open that. Although she's 200 pounds, she can still run that tarp.
There you go. All right, well, let's go in and check it out.
Bye.
See how busy they are, or if we can sneak in there. All right, guys, so this new tarp system, I'm here at the back of the Western belt trailer that we're putting it on. And this system, kind of the reason we chose this trailer is this has the tarp in the back. And we chose this one also because it was sitting here in the shop getting other work done to it. So you want to go ahead, Larry, and explain what we got going on up there?
So, see, this is kind of like the old system that you had before, which was a back manual. So with the vinyl tarp, with the length of trailer, which is probably about a 48 foot, it starts being very, very heavy, especially the type of vinyls that you're using is not always the highest quality, so you have a cold crack. So when it gets cold, it's really hard to open and close that tarp. So what we did was we just took the roll pipe, snipped the back off, put it in the front, and we'll get to that afterwards. But what we did on the back was you want to have the same amount of pressure, what's called a tensioner. A lot of companies were using bungee cords, but the bungee cord doesn't have enough pressure on that. So what we did is when he was going to zoom upwards, you'll see a red piece on the end and a rope. That actually has 65 pounds of pressure. There's a 15-foot PVC pipe that goes inside his existing roll pipe. Then there's that red rope that's sticking out the end, and that's going to help keep the nice tight roll when you're opening the tarp, and it's going to help pull it back.
I mean, this can fit any tarp. Like,
okay,
we already have the existing pipe.
So,
you guys sell all that too, but we have the existing pipe, the existing tarp.
The only issue that we have when you're doing any is that if you have a strap and ratchet, because the strap and ratchet, the tarp is too wide because it comes down to 15, 16, 18, 22 inches down the side. So it's going to be too wide to roll back up and lock. Gotcha. Since you had a locking mechanism and you had those anchoring blocks down the side, we're able to do a retrofit from your system to this.
So how's this system going to work?
Okay, so as you can see, we're not all the way through. We have the end piece and the little red rope, which we haven't hooked up to the roll pipe yet. That's actually the front tensioner. Okay. There's also 60 pounds of pressure on that spring. We added. So
there's a spring in that tube.
Not in the tube, in the bar that's at the front of the trailer, which is called the external tensioner.
Gotcha.
And eventually that's going to hook up to the roll pipe.
Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant. A spring in that bar.
Correct.
Yep.
So we just added our drive shaft to the end of your existing roll pipe. On the end of the roll pipe, that's a drive shaft, which is going to connect to the mechanism that we're going to put onto that.
Okay. So what do we got here laying on the table? So this piece is going to go.
Yeah, it's going to go in there. So,
well, you know what? Maybe when we get
what
this,
I can do is you can actually see both gearboxes because there's one there and there's one there.
Gotcha.
Basically, what we were saying before is that we call this a mechanized system, which is more advanced than electric because if you don't have any kind of wiring hookups or anything like this. And we don't call it manual, although you're manually turning the crank, and we'll show you the crank in a second. So we call it twin gear, 2 gearboxes. So if you look down here, this is going to be the central mechanism. So that's going to connect to the crank handle off the side of the trailer, and then the PTO shaft that goes up to the top of the trailer.
Which is this shaft.
Which is that shaft, and then this goes up to the top where the roll pipe is, and then you have another gearbox here. So every 1 turn of your crank handle is 2 turns of the roll pipe. That's why we call it a twin gear system and a mechanized. And that's why it's so quick to open and close.
No, I'm excited to see this thing working.
I'm not going to pull on this rope right now because it's hooked up to the top with a spring, but this is going to be this is the crank handle that we're not going to adjust it now because it's going to come, when you drive, it's actually off the side of the trailer. But right now it's just to show you how this is. So this is the crank handle, which is going to be off the side of the trailer. For large fleets, we have a different system where this mechanism has a flip handle. It's more on the inside for big waste haulers that haul their trailers very close to each other. Doesn't get damaged, but this one's just off the side of the trailer. So basically, it's from the ground.
We could adjust that, though, if we
Correct.
wanted.
We have different variations of everything that you see. This system is more adapted to this specific trailer. Basically, it's at the front of the trailer. You keep your driver on the ground. No going up on the catwalk. No problems with OSHA.
Yeah, that's key.
Yep.
And no trying to get whacked with a tarp arm either. So.
And also with this system is you can run with it open, you can run with it closed.
Yep. And it's not like there's any tension on this crank, really. There's no tension. Like I know when you crank across and you try to get it in tight.
Yeah, so basically we have here a locking mechanism. Yeah. So it's not going to swing back and hurt you. Also, what we're going to adjust it at the end is you're basically going from 12 o'clock down to 3 o'clock. So you're putting a little bit of your body weight in there and then just locking in place and taking the handle out of its way. We'll see that when we do the final adjustment.
All right, so we're going to let these boys keep working and get this done. I'm excited. Well, good morning, guys. We are back here in the shop. I'm here with Larry again, and this is another day. So what happened yesterday? I got busy. They got it put on, and I didn't make it out here in time before he left, and he's coming back in the morning. So that's why we're here this morning. But besides that, we got this tarp to talk about, and I'm excited. I did not see this tarp crank over yet. So this is going to be my first reaction, Larry.
Okay, fantastic. Well, at least we're not running it from the back and we're not forcing ourselves, right?
I know. So we're standing here on the ground, and we're going to see if we can crank this tarp. So anything you want to say beforehand?
Yeah, yesterday we had to make a couple modifications because this is a walking floor, so we had some hoses in the way, so just going to straighten these out. We built a little plate at the front so we can put our mechanism here. So when we call it a twin gear system, is underneath here we have the gearbox, goes up to PTO shaft with another gearbox there. So that comes out to the handle, that's locked and out of its way, so it's very simple to operate. Come out of the cab, come to the front of the trailer, keep your drivers on the ground, make it safe, and we're going to see how long it takes to open and close this.
Yep, and so before that, we did make some modifications, guys. So this is something that bothers me a little bit, but obviously we got to put our hoses back on, and we got to put the ladder back on.
Yep.
And it concerns me a little bit because that also could be a point of liability. I like to keep everything factory. I like to keep everything stock, and I don't want to tweak what came on the trailer from factory. So what I need to do, Larry, is we need to figure out how to convince Western Trailer to get these systems put on. But I'm only going to do that if I like this system.
Well,
so
we're not too worried about that. After 5 years of getting them on there, we're sure it's going to work. Just a few things on that. Often the ladder is to get onto the catwalk and operate a manual tarp. So if it's to get up there and have a visual, the systems are made to be able to fit a ladder on this.
Right.
So we work with a lot of trailer manufacturers, and hopefully soon with Western, and they're going to wake up over there and give us a shout and make sure that it is made to fit this system.
Yeah.
And no modifications made to the trailer.
Right. I'd love to be able to buy the trailer right from the factory
Correct.
stock
Yeah.
here, you know, and already have the ladder on. And this ladder here that we had on this trailer was just for visual anyway. So a lot of times the guys don't get up that much, but I think we still need to put that ladder back on, and I think we can mount it. It just might have to be a lower profile ladder that goes up.
Yeah, so they decided yesterday. Now we have just, I don't know if you can zoom into here, but this is a short bracket.
Yep.
If we would have known all this information before, we have a long bracket which extends this from the front, and a ladder fits behind it.
Yep.
And also with the mechanism here, we have a bracket which stick this out a little bit. So there's all kinds of different configurations to be able to adapt our system to the existing trailer.
Yep. And we could still add that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Maybe we'll have to look at that.
Changing this long bracket and putting a bracket there, and then you can put your ladder underneath. So there's no problem with that.
Yeah.
And just another quick note, on the front of the trailer, you can see that little bar up there.
Yeah.
That's actually a tensioner that has, we said yesterday we showed it from the ground, but now it's positioned in place. So there's 65 pounds of pressure on a spring that's inside there, tied up to that rope, and that rope you can lift up 2,500 pounds like a Kevlar type of rope. And we put one in the back inside your roll pipe, which is 15 feet. So now we have the even strength to be able to roll it and bring it across. And you'll see when I'm going to open it, it actually opens up on itself.
What about when you're running down the road and you get all this salt and ice and salt brine and nastiness that gets that thing all covered?
So coverage is not an issue. It's a $5 rope. The only thing that's going to happen is if you catch it on a tree.
Yeah.
You can rip a tarp, you can rip a rope. I mean, that's going to happen. But as far as any kind of freezing rain, snow, no issues with that.
How easy is that to replace?
I would say approximately 3 minutes.
I feel like that's going to be a pain point.
I don't think it's going to be a pinpoint because it's been on the market for about 20 years. Before, if you see, like most companies have some type of tensioner. They're using a bungee cord, which doesn't have any pressure, or a cable. So I would say about 10 years ago, we switched from the cable to a rope because it doesn't get any brittle, much easier to get in and out on that tensioner.
Awesome. All right, let's give it a shot.
All right,
so standing on the ground, here we go.
So we get off. So first of all, the handle is out of its way, so we have a little pin. So all we do is just push it, and now the handle is ready to go.
Yep.
So we have a locking mechanism. Just push it down, flip that over, and now it's ready to go. So as I'm putting my shoulder towards the trailer to turn it this way, when I bring it back the other way, it's going to come. That noise you hear is a spring coming out. So I'm very easily to close this up. So every one turn of this handle is 2 turns on the roll pipe. How long that take? So now I'm going to switch sides and then put it the other way. And if you can tell, it's almost going on its own. So there's no pressure whatsoever. I mean, you can do that with one finger. See how it's like really simple because the tensioners in the front and the back are actually pulling it closed. So now if you look on the top, it's going to drop over the side at the same front and back. And now it's at 12 o'clock. I'm just putting my weight down, and that thing is tight, ready to go.
That's awesome. What I really, really like about that kind of a locking mechanism, so the way our tarps are, like say that trailer over there, we always have to come to that one spot. And then if we have to adjust the tarp, because sometimes you get a load that's pushing up against the tarp a little bit, we have to adjust it. We have to pop that handle off and kind of guess how much we want to turn it, put it back on, and then crank it up. Whereas this, you can always cinch it tight.
Yeah,
and,
so
I do like that part of it.
So we do set with this little screw here the proper tension, so I'm putting my weight down on it. So the handle's not sticking forward, it's really tucked away off the side of the trailer.
Yep.
Also, I don't know if you noticed, but this system is actually made, we can go up to a 24-inch cap.
Okay.
So if you are doing a heat load, I don't know if you'll see it on the video, it's actually going over the top, so it's kind of like going to go over your heat load.
Yeah. And the other thing, what I noticed too, is what protects the tarp and what keeps the tarp lasting longer is when the tarp is always tight. So when the tarp is up there and it's flopping up and down and there's wind that gets up underneath your tarp, then you start having issues. Your tarp doesn't last as long and it can blow your tarp off, which we've had happen already. But this way the drivers will always keep that tarp nice and tight.
So another thing too is that we talked about that we're 50% done with the mechanism, and we haven't talked about the top. We'll do that on a second video maybe later on. But definitely wind wear is a huge factor. You have any kind of sand or salt between the crossbows and the tarp, it's going to create some brittle. At the back is where the wind wear is, so you need to have it tight. So that's why, if you notice my last little movement that I made, when I walked in this morning, somebody tried it and the handle was about there.
Yep.
So it's really made to be able to push it down, and I'm just putting a little bit of weight in it.
Yep.
And I looked from the inside, and that tarp has never been this tight as it is on this with your back manual.
But if he wanted, you know, if there was something blocking it, you could have the handle up.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Also,
that's what's cool.
So there's a locking mechanism.
Yeah.
And some of our drivers, when they're open, they'll drive with it open. You have no issues. It's going to stay locked. It's not going to fly away. It's not moving. It's not unrolling. It's going to stay in position.
Yeah.
So your load will settle, then your driver can come back out and do another, pull it down to get it nice and tight.
Yep. Cool. Cool. You want to crank that one more time? I'm going to see if I can get up on this ladder and whoa, and then they can see this thing go across.
So yesterday I was told you it's about 30 seconds to open and close.
Yep. That is slick. I like that. This system also comes in. Like, let's just say we had one or two trailers like this. We want to have power. We could have a full electric, hit the button, and then the tarp would go across.
So we have different variations on electric systems. The way that the electric systems we use depends on the configuration of the front of the trailer.
Yeah.
So, you know, we started off with throw-on tarps, back manual, and now a lot of people are fighting for these electric systems. So this system goes beyond that. But sometimes you're right. People don't want to get out of the cab. They're going to mine. All our electric systems come with backup mode. So you hook up your air to this drill and you push it into the gearbox and you're able to operate the tarp, which is quite something unique.
That's cool. That's cool. So
I'm just catching my breath.
Or, electric or manual. Very nice. So yeah, I think what it's going to come down to, Larry, is we're going to have to get Western really convinced on putting these systems on right from the get-go.
I think it's a good idea. Now, you know, I don't know what phones people have, but I think this is a Samsung 11, not the one. So we're always evolving.
Right.
So we actually have patents that are coming on. We actually have a patent right now for a full manual, full electric, should be coming out in 2025. So we're always evolving our systems. We're not staying with these tarps that have been going on since the 1970s. Right. We are moving into 2024.
My phone, I don't know. I think I have like an iPhone 14.
A flip phone. I saw that flip phone.
I don't like changing phones. I don't know what it is. I hate changing phones, but it always takes me a while to get used to the new one and whatever. So I had the old phone for a long time. Finally, I did upgrade here a little bit ago. But anyway, I like that theory. So good stuff. Thanks, Larry, for coming out.
Absolutely.
And Larry didn't even give me this tarp. We had to pay for it.
Actually, we shipped it before you paid. So you haven't paid for it yet.
We didn't pay for it yet. So this is simply, we're kind of learning together. We're kind of learning together. And I'm going to put Larry's info. So again, guys, I only promote things that I believe in and I am believing in, right? So I think these guys, I've known eCargo for quite a while. We had worked with them in the past, just never this kind of system. So I will keep you guys posted on how the system works and how often we have to replace this rope in the next week. Hopefully 0.
First, there's a full 3-year warranty on this. We're expecting this without any little minor changes, a good 5 years. Yeah. So this system will last you a good 10, 15 years.
Yep. And just to give this a fair trial, we did get 2 systems, right?
Correct.
So we are going to put another system. I'm not sure which trailer yet, but we're going to put another system on another trailer. So,
and just to be clear on the terms, we're talking about mechanisms because for us, a system is a complete system. Now we're just doing retrofits on this.
Because we already have the tarps.
Exactly. So we said, why change the tarps now? It's still good. Just do a retrofit, and later on, when you need to change tarps, we can do the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do really like this system.
Yeah, just another note, we have distribution networks across North America. So this system is available across North America through dealer networks.
Gotcha.
Get in contact with your people.
Yeah. And you would always put them in contact with the right person too.
Yep, yep.
And even if they really wanted you to come out and help them out, you would do that too, right?
We have systems in Hawaii. We actually went out there. We just shipped out 25 of these in Australia, and we're heading out to Australia as well.
You'd really like to go to Hawaii, I'm guessing.
Don't mind whatsoever.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Larry. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, and I will for sure keep you tuned on how this works. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.